can you share, because I have this graphic from one of your books, can you share about, so people can understand what is this material 3D world?
Okay.
Can you just kind of, where most people live in the 3D world. And before you get into that, there's a quote from one of your books that you said as well, that if an atom is 99.9999% energy and 0.00001% physical substance, then I'm actually more nothing than something.
More information, yeah.
More information than something, right?
And nothing too, yeah.
So why do I keep my attention on that small percentage of the physical world when I'm so much more? Is defining my present reality by what I perceive with my senses the biggest limitation I have? And I think this is from The Habit of Being Yourself.
Yeah, so the probability that we're seeing the truth of reality is zero.
wait, what does that mean? Say that again, and what does that mean?
The probability that you and I are perceiving all of reality is zero. We are looking at a small frequency of light. The spectrum of visible light, red, orange, yellow, blue, green, indigo, violet, that rainbow of light, that's a small spectrum in the huge electromagnetic field, right? All those different frequencies. We got this small little bandwidth. Look in a physics book or any book or Google it, and you'll see the wavelength of light, this tiny little band in this huge number of frequencies there are in the universe. That small band of frequency, the light that's coming from the sun, the light that's coming from these lights, that light is bouncing off the most stable form of energy.
In this room, right?
Matter is the most stable form of energy, and it's fooling us into the illusion of separation. So now I'm consciousness, you're consciousness. How do I know I'm consciousness? Because I'm aware, right? But in the three-dimensional reality, right, I'm conscious, but what I'm conscious also is of me. And everything else that exists in three-dimensional reality, I'm conscious that I'm separate of. I'm separate from the cameras, I'm separate from you, I'm separate from this table. Everything that I'm perceiving with my senses in three-dimensional reality is fooling me into the illusion of separation. So in three-dimensional reality, our senses plug us into that reality. Take away your sight, take away your hearing, take away your smell, take away your taste, take away your feeling with your body. You would have no experience of three-dimensional reality, but yet it could still exist, but you're unaware of it. So then here I am local in space and time, and everything is height and depth and width, and that I'm into this illusion of separation. And in this realm of three-dimensional reality, there's an infinite amount of space. Space is eternal. In fact, it's accelerating, right? So the way we experience everything in three-dimensional reality is we do things. So if I want to go from here to my car to get something, I have the thought, I'm Joe Dispenza, I'm local in space and time, I'm separate from everyone and everything, I'm aware, and my awareness goes to my car. So now I have another point of awareness, another point of consciousness. I have a thought, and I want to have an experience. And the only way I'm going to have the experience in three-dimensional reality, as far as I know, to get to my car is I'm going to have to get up and move my body through space from one point of consciousness to another point of consciousness, from the cause to the effect, from the thought to the experience. And as I move through space, that's called time. So time is the separation between 2 points of consciousness. So everything that we create in this three-dimensional reality takes time, and it takes energy. So then there's you have a dream, you're aware that you're here, I'm local in space and time in this moment, and I want to have this dream of going on a vacation or making millions of dollars or getting a perfect partner, whatever that is, and your brain naturally puts that vision of your future and it estimates 2 years down the road or 3 years down the road. Why? Because you got to save money, you got to sacrifice, you got to work extra hours, you got to cheat a little bit, you got to lie a little bit, you got to compete a little bit. If you're matter trying to change matter, and you want this experience in three-dimensional reality, it's going to take a lot of time and energy because your brain's going to say, I know you. It's going to take a lot of doing back and forth until you finally have the experience. And when you have the experience, the emotion that's created from the experience takes away the lack or separation from not having it. So in three-dimensional reality, we create from lack or separation. You see someone with a sports car, you see someone with a wardrobe, and you look at it and your brain automatically goes, I want that because I don't have it. So we create in three-dimensional reality based on lack. And so the brain has the image, I want one of those, it puts it in the future, and then we have to work really hard. And for matter trying to change matter, we force outcomes, we control outcomes, we try to predict outcomes, we compete for outcomes, because there's only a certain number of resources that we can do in three-dimensional reality to get what we want. You can get really good at it after a while. You can get trained, you can get educated, you can learn from your mistakes, and sooner or later you'll be able to accumulate a lot of things that take away a lot of lack for a lot of people. But the question is then, does it make them happy, right?
Right.
So anyway, so
that's the 3D.
So that's the 3D world, right? So then you see the wardrobe and you see the sports car, your brain creates the image, you come back to three-dimensional reality and it's not there, and you think we can't create reality because it didn't appear, right? And so then our belief that we are creators in our life has to be changed, right? And the only way you can change that belief is through experience, because experience is the best professor. So you said, well, it's probably really hard to do that because we call that getting beyond yourself. Well, think about it. If you're living by the addiction of the hormones of stress and all of your attention is on your body, your environment, and time, and to change is to be greater than your body, to be greater than your environment, and to be greater than time, then when you're addicted to the hormones of stress or you're living in stress, it's really hard to change.
That's hard to
It's really not a time to change. So we discovered, and we've looked at enough brain scans, that when you say, I can't do this, it's too hard, instead of you getting up and quitting and saying, I can't meditate, or this is not for me, that if you actually sit and you go past that thought, you're stepping into the unknown. If you catch yourself wandering to your cell phone or to your social media page or what your pet is doing or your spouse is doing, catch yourself, and you catch yourself doing that, going unconscious, and return back to the present moment, you'll get really good at catching yourself from going unconscious, and you'll start getting really conscious. And that you're bringing your attention back into the present moment, and that laboring for the present moment is the unknown. And so you teach a person how to do that, and sooner or later they get good at it. So when we were doing the events, and we were doing these 4-day events, we started measuring gene expression. We saw that people can change their gene expressions in 4 days. All good genes, for antioxidants, for stem cells, for immune regulation, for neurogenesis. We saw that they can lengthen their telomeres, they're change their biological age if they practice the work for 60 days. We saw that the majority of people at the end of 7 days, their brain was working better. We saw an enormous amount of change in anxiety and depression. How could you be anxious if you're not trying to predict the future anymore and you've mastered the moment, right? And so people were thinking that they were doing their meditations wrong when their mind wandered, but they're actually doing it right, because that's the process of being able to stay conscious and not go unconscious.
Come back to
right.
it, yeah.
We also discovered if I push a person past the point where they normally stop, where they say, I'm done, that's their comfort.
Yeah.
If I take them past that point, that's when the brain changes the most. That's when they have their biggest changes.
When they break through discomfort.
When they get to the point where they're uncomfortable, and instead of giving up and saying this is too uncomfortable, I can't meditate, if I give them something to do while they're doing that, and they can reorganize that dissonance and create coherence in their brain and heart, that free energy that's been created by keep lowering the volume to the emotion and taking the attention off the person. Your body wants to get up and do something and go, and you watch it wanting to be programmed to get up, and you bring it back to the present moment. You're training the animal, right? You're training the animal self, right? Yeah. And that's overcoming the body. And it takes an enormous amount of energy, an enormous amount of awareness to do it. And yet, like training any animal, sooner or later, when the body realizes it's no longer the mind, it surrenders.
Yes.
When that occurs, there's a huge liberation of energy, and energy naturally moves right into the heart. The body can relax into the unknown. The familiar past, when people are living by the same emotions every day, because they're recalling a memory from their past and they feel the emotion associated with it, they're in the familiar past. If they're predicting the future and thinking about all the people they have to see and the places they have to go and the things they have to do at the exact same time, that predictable future is the known, the familiar past is the known, the only place where the unknown exists is the present moment. So If the unknown is a scary place because it's been built into our biology and you got to go against thousands of years of conditioning and work with your body, I'm telling you, there's a moment where the body finally surrenders. Energy moves to the heart. Once it goes to the heart like a springboard, it's released right to the brain, the heart and the brain. The heart tells the brain to create the 4 brain switches on. And now the person starts thinking, there's got to be another way. There's a new way. Right? And it resets the baseline emotionally in the body to tell the body the event is over. So we started doing these 4-day events and we were getting all these great changes. And then we started seeing something really crazy happen. In the middle of a meditation, when they were broadening their awareness and taking their attention off the particle, off matter, off everything known and physical and material in their world, off the 0.0001% of reality, and broadening their focus and putting it on nothing. That vacuum energy, that void, that oneness field, that unified field, that is undivided wholeness and order. If where you place your attention is where you place your energy, and you keep reminding the person that that nothing is filled with energy and frequency carries information. We discovered something really profound. When a person is putting more attention on that and less attention on them, when they're more aware of that and less aware of them, when they're feeling it, when they're experiencing it, when they're relaxing into it, when they're becoming nothing, all of a sudden, those different compartments of the brain that were once subdivided, that were compartmentalized and modulated and incoherent, started to synchronize, started to unify. We started to see more communities of neurons and bigger real estate in the brain start firing in tandem, right? And the brain started firing collectively, the entire brain in a global sense, to a rhythm. And that's wholeness, right?